Well, the conversation in regard to the graduation woes that are taking place at Makerere University continues as the graduation ceremony kick-started on Monday. And of course, it is the 72nd graduation ceremony. And today, why we're actually discussing it is that Makerere University may actually face the iron arm of the law, as a section of students have threatened to go ahead to sue the institution in the courts of law because their names were missing out on the graduation list, and yet they claim that they met all requirements. Now, the university's 5-day graduation ceremony has today entered day 3, and students from the School of Education, College and Agriculture and Environmental Sciences are expected to be awarded degrees, certificates and diplomas, of course, from Makerere University. However, a large number of group of students will not be graduating because their names have not appeared on the graduation list, and that is what we are going to be discussing. I'm seated down with the council, who is actually a representative of a section of these students, and his name is Mr. Sekezi Stephen Sali. I hope I got that right. And he's actually an alumni of the university and as well has worked with Makerere University before. So who better to represent these aggrieved students than someone who has studied and worked from there? Good morning, council, and thank you so much for joining us this morning on Sunrise at Sea.
Good morning, and thanks for hosting me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So my first question would be, and let's cut right to the chase. As a legal representative of the aggrieved students, what are the facts? It's very important that even as we start this conversation, for the viewer that is watching out there, they get to understand what are the facts that have been laid on table.
The facts are very simple. These are students who are admitted to the university, and the larger part of the students, the former students that I'm representing, come from the College of Education and External Studies.
Yes.
They were admitted, they fulfilled all the requirements for graduation. Actually, even their names were posted on the university portal.
Yes.
University website. They are graduating. They went ahead, bought gowns. A big percentage of these students were privately sponsored students. So finally, when the list comes out, they realize that they are not on the list. They make some noise, and then a few of them are included on the list, others are not. And then they rise up again, and then it's like no one is telling them particular reasons why they are not on the list.
Yes.
So what we do is that we contact a few of them at the college and also at the main building to see that they are included. But then we are told they cannot be included because the books have already been printed and distributed. Actually, that they had even given a copy to the president and his wife, who are supposed to be the chief guests. And then they also said they cannot have an addendum because they have ever tried it and then it brought undesirable results. And I'm like, but what is now happening? Can't you make a press conference? Can't you include it in your speeches? Yes, the principal does not have a slot for making a speech, but when he's about to read out the names of the students in the book, he should be able to say that there are others we recognize fulfill the requirements. There are others whose degrees we own. We know that we gave them, and mentions the different names for the satisfaction of whoever has been paying for them, for the satisfaction of the students who have been undertaking these studies, for the world to know. And then it is not done.
So in your legal perspective and the time that you've been able to interact with some of these students, are there chances that this issue could actually be resolved and the students' names could appear in the graduation list before the graduation ceremony comes to an end?
Actually, now the graduation is underway.
Yes.
And the books have already been published. Mm-hmm. Now they cannot include them in the books. And they have already said that they cannot make an addendum. What they have promised is that they are going to give them transcripts.
Yes.
Along with these other ones. Then, the funny thing, they are going to include their names in next year's graduation book. And I'm like...
So that does not make sense to you?
No, it doesn't. And I believe even the person who was saying it doesn't make sense to them. But they had to say something.
Okay. So what got you interested in this particular matter? Is it because you're an alumni of the university and you've been through this system before?
Actually, I was approached by students. And I could feel their pain, the way they were talking. I could feel their pain, and when I looked at the list, most of them were privately sponsored students. I could imagine. It took me 20 years of studying to get a degree in law.
Okay.
3 in nursery, 7 in primary, 6 in secondary, and then 4 at the university. I imagine a parent paying for that long, and then you're told you cannot, your child cannot graduate.
Yes.
I mean, I thought they were paying, and I was like, let me try to help them. And I thought that if I got involved, we would get results without hurting so many souls around. I knew I could, because I don't want to dent the image of the university. Okay. That's why I took time to call some of these officials. They were not picking, and I could understand later when one of them, out of very good courtesy, I thank you, madam, from the College of Education, the PR college, you called me back and you told me you were getting so many calls and you were getting confused and you derailed from your work. I could understand that. But how about the messages that I sent? And they were very clear. And they were very clear, and I don't know why they were ignored by the DVC Academic Affairs,
okay,
and then even also in the College of Education. They were ignored. So I was like, okay, maybe this thing was done on purpose. Someone is like, what will you do? There's one who even say that we've taught so many people. So they were like, they were just daring. What will you do? We are well connected, we are well protected, and at the expense of these students.
So who exactly at the Makerere University are you actually in touch with to resolve this particular matter? Who are you holding, who are you holding accountable for this issue?
I believe that right from the colleges, the academic units in the university, there are people who are involved. People who are supposed to enter the results, who are supposed to compile the lists. Every one of those people should be held accountable. No one is employed to mismanage their office. No one is employed to do bad things in the office. So we are going for individuals. We are going for individuals in the academic units,
yes,
up to the main hall. Because if you communicate to the topmost, the DVC Academic Affairs, and then they just decide to ignore you, they won't return your calls. That is understandable. Maybe they were getting so many or they were busy. They won't even reply to your messages or act according to, in response to your messages. I mean, all these people should be held accountable at a personal level.
Okay, so is it an issue of incompetence? Because we have so much information coming in. One is that they appeared on the draft, and then on the final graduation list and the booklets, they did not appear. However, the university has come out to say, like you've mentioned, that they will actually prevail them, they will actually give them their transcripts, but their names will appear in the 73rd graduation ceremony. So is it an issue of incompetence in the systems at Makerere University?
Maybe that alone cannot explain it fully, but it can explain a bit of it.
Okay.
For me, when I graduated, I was so sick, I just got involved in accident, I couldn't follow up my stuff. But somehow everything fell in place. Now I'm wondering if a student has been following diligently.
Yes.
And then somehow someone locks themselves in the office, they talk to the secretary said, he is in. So they're like, we are very many, let's get representatives. They get a few representatives, 4 representatives, and then later the secretary comes back and tells them, oh, he's not in. And there's only one door to the office.
To the office.
They're like, he's not in. Then they peep through the ventilators and windows, they see this guy, and later when he comes out, he's quarreling. Why are you peeping through and all that? He doesn't know what they are going through. So maybe people just... maybe incompetence, maybe, but maybe it is a daring attitude of some of these people, and maybe it is the I don't care attitude of most civil servants. You know, at the end of the day, you get your pay and all that. Maybe some people are just tired. Maybe there is even no reason Sometimes we do things that, why did you do it just for just? Maybe.
And there's no reason behind
Yeah,
it.
there's no
but,
reason.
But maybe let's just not throw this government or Makerere University under the bus. Do you think that the students actually have a hand to play when it comes to them not appearing on the graduation list to an extent?
I've been hearing many people giving reasons that would point to that.
Okay.
Some people say, some of them do not give the correct number, maybe examination number, maybe registration number. Others have said, others submit their dissertations late. Maybe they clear late. I've heard all those reasons.
Yes.
Now, let us bring it down to these particular students that I'm representing.
Okay.
I'm saying they were cleared in time. Why did you clear them if you thought that they had come late? They fulfilled all the requirements. And then you tell me, oh, we've been having two systems. We are now migrating to only one system that we are using, and we have gotten some hicks. So every blame is on you.
Okay.
It is not the student's blame that you have two systems, or that you took long to realize that you have to use only one system. And for goodness sake, you cleared them. You cleared them. Who were you fooling? So, in my humble opinion, the ones I am representing cannot be blamed at all.
So
the blame lies squarely on the university staff and administration.
Okay, so you have kept on saying the ones that you're representing, but also even the university hasn't come out to put a certain number or a figure to the students that are missing out on the graduation list. How many students are you representing?
I have a list of 35.
Okay.
From the College of Education and External Studies, and some others are from the College of Computing and Information Studies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is this the first time that you're being approached by university students, or is this the first time that it's happening?
You see, because it has happened before,
yes.
Some of these people, their hearts are hardened. Because some of them were referring me to incidents in Chambogo. I was like, I don't even remember think that I ever heard of that one. That, what did they do? They went to court and it was delayed, pulled around. We have taught so many people. We are well protected. I'm like, okay. You see, it's happened before. I wasn't involved. But this is the first time I'm handling a case of this kind for the university students.
Okay, so let's look at the damage that has been done. For students that, you know, thought that they were going ahead to graduate, they bought university gowns, they told their parents, they probably even booked venues to have their graduation parties, and these are damages caused. Do you think these students, even looking at the legal perspective, are they to be compensated?
I think they should, and we shall press for that. Because look at it this way, unlike during our time, you could borrow a graduation gown from a relative, a friend, or some other person who graduated 3 or 4 years before you, and there wouldn't be a difference. But now, the graduation gowns are fitted for a particular year. They even write 2012, 2022, you get it, eh? So they have gone into that, and some of them want to move on to the next step. Everyone has a next step they want to go to, and some of these are pegged on completing this one and then moving on to the next. And why did you fool these people? And you post on the university portal that they are cleared for graduation. You see, this deceit and misrepresentation is actionable in law. It's actionable in law. Okay. Because they did come up with, they're not the ones who threw their names on the list. They're not the ones who run your portal for you. You do it. So, yeah, there's a lot of damage that's been caused, and they should be held accountable. Okay,
so as their official legal representative, this is day 3 and the graduation is still ongoing at the Freedom Square. Give us an update. What is the status quo? How far have you gone? What has been, have you got some responses from the university as well as the courts of law?
The students are taking different routes.
Okay.
They're taking different routes. Mine is just one of them. And they have registered, they've made progress on the different routes they've taken. For us, we thought that would be done before, like they would include them on the list, they would make an addendum, they failed. We thought they would make a press conference or include it in the speech. That one didn't come. Now, what remains is to have the particular individuals held accountable. That's where we are heading.
Okay.
We are still finalizing the discussions with the students.
Okay, so what message do you have for a parent that is watching you this morning and they are completely frustrated by the fact that their child will not be graduating this year?
Maybe to those parents I can say that I feel your pain, I sympathize with you. Others may not show that they are doing it. But the thing is that you do not blame your child. Let me not call them students, your child at this point. They are also going through a lot. This they did not see. They did not expect that it was going to happen. Now that it's happened, support them, rally around them, and help them to stay strong and united with their friends so that they can be able to move on to the next.
Okay, so the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, that is Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, did come out and say that these students that are missing on the graduation list, their names, and I mean their transcripts will be forwarded and will be ready by a period of June. What happens to the students who are expecting to use some of these, to use their transcript to be able to forge a way forward in life?
Well, he said that. I didn't hear him. I'm glad you heard him say that. But how satisfactory is that? Because he has said their names are missing, the transcripts will be. I mean, why are they missing? Are we sure that there's not going to be a repeat of this thing? Have you taken any responsibility? Have you massaged the feelings of the different
students,
stakeholders? Yes. Especially from the children's, from the students' side, have you? Or just saying it and letting it pass and, not putting any feeling to it? Because this is more than just words, dry or empty. I mean, there's feelings involved, there are lives. There are lives involved in this, and there are futures that you're playing with. So, yeah, they'll get the transcripts, they'll use them. How about the certificate? How about the certificate of graduation? You see, because it shows which congregation you graduated at, and then you are given this certificate. How about that? It's much more than the simplistic way you're putting it across.
Okay, so let's give a bit of, I would call it free advice, and that is in your expert opinion and as a city lawyer, what advice would you give to Makerere University stakeholders to handle this issue, or even for the near future, so that we do not have such events unfolding again?
Well, for the units that have already graduated students,
yes,
what has been cannot be changed. But for tomorrow, for the next days, you can choose not to repeat these things. Because if I have a list of 35 names from the same college, someone once said that, shame on you if you fool me once. Shame on me if you fool me twice.
Yes.
Now, you can't repeat something this many times. 35 times, the same thing. Shame on you. The decent thing is for you to hang up your boots and go. Let somebody else who has a feeling, somebody else who has the competence, occupy your office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during the press briefing and during the police press briefing that was held at the media center, Mr. Fred Enanga went ahead and said that they had received reports and confirmation that, a sizable amount of students is planning to actually go ahead and demonstrate and strike because of the fact that they are missing out on the graduation list. What message do you have for these students this morning?
I usually have a problem with strikes if they are not going to help you achieve your desired goal. But unfortunately, many of our leaders, that's the only language they hear, the only language they understand. But if these students had come out earlier, and maybe over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and stood somewhere and then the cameras came and covered them, maybe it would get to the attention of some of the big people. And then they would, we have this thing of receiving calls from above. Yes. Maybe a call would come from above and tell them, guys, behave. These people need to be on the graduation list. But when you do it afterwards, I think it may not yield any results. The best thing is to squeeze them the right way, to fix them so they don't have to repeat it and that they can be able to pay for this time that's already passed. Yeah.
Okay, so as we wind up the conversation, Council, what are your last remarks?
My last remarks. Let's all be mindful of the places where we are placed, of the situations where we're placed. You are employed at the university and you know you have a very high stake in this whole thing. Respect your job and know that there are people you are influencing, you're helping, you're working for, and do your job diligently. Don't do a lousy job and then try to hide behind the different protection that you can get or you can garner around you, that we have taught so many people that the president is going to be the chief guest, you can't do anything. That is so daring. Yeah. That is so daring and unfeeling. So I want us to be so mindful of others and caring about others and consistent. Like the students need to be consistent and very calculative in our modes.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Council, first of all, for joining us and being a part of Sunrise at Sea, but of course going ahead to accept this mantle of power and the challenge that has been put forward. I hope that you are able to receive positive results and that the students who have been aggrieved and the students who are not appearing on the graduation list, not just the students, but even the parents, that there shall be peace of mind in one way or the other. Otherwise, that wraps up the conversation that we had for you this morning on the Twitter Jabs. However, stay tuned because up next is none other than Sarah Apollo, and she discusses the aspect of spiritual wellness. It's very important that you pray. Life is not just a merry-go-round. So if you do not have God at the center, then you are in for trouble. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea and don't blink.